days later. 68.
Are you good?
Good.
Okay. Call the meeting in order. If you'll, Tiffany, if you'll take roll call.
Mayor Peter Boyer,
Present.
Stephen Clark, council,
Present.
Tyler Martin, council,
Present.
Tim Ficking, council,
Present.
Dan Sabrowski, council.
Present. Everyone rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of July 1st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the payables list for July 22nd, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the financial reports, balance sheet, detailed income statement, and trial balance for the period ending June 2025.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2025-02, amendment of the annual appropriation ordinance budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025.
Moved.
Second. Oh, Dan's got it.
Give it to Dan.
Dan can have one.
Any further discussion any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. There is no attorney's report. Mr. Holscher is out, so unless you have anything.
Oh, not tonight.
Okay. That was easy, right?
Yes.
Okay, unless anyone has anything for the attorney.
No.
Okay. Ray? You look
Mayor?
dashing tonight.
Thank you. Thought it was Fourth Tuesday and we all dressed up for it, but apparently it was wrong, so I apologize. You have my report, very lengthy again. Only thing to note is that in the last couple of weeks, we have had a couple different calls from people interested in developing the Palomino and Bella Vista lots. So that continues to come up every couple of months. Not really, just really more informational for you. We talk through it a lot of the time with potential developers and they get scared off by price tags and requirements, but it is, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's gaining traction, but we are getting, I would say the calls are more frequent than, the last handful of years. So seems to be.
Any reason why?
Unless real estate agent.
I think that to be honest, I don't know. I know that lots are selling in this area, and developers in new subdivisions, they're selling lots, before the subdivision is built. So I think it's just a supply and demand. There's not a lot of developable lots that exist right now. And so people are looking, they see a price tag that's pretty low and then you have to wonder why. And then they find out why the price tag's low. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Right on. Anything that covers you?
That's everything for me, sir.
That's pretty easy, right? Man, we're only 4 minutes in. Anything for Ray?
I'm gonna keep it up. I'm good.
Perfect.
Don't go anywhere. I may come back. I'm just.
Yeah, we'll come back to you. Don't worry about it.
Dashing time.
Chief, you're up.
You guys have my written reports. A couple things to add real quick. Jake Fujawa has been in Alaska for about the last 15 days as an equipment manager on fire. The command staff has requested that he R&R in place and then be reassigned as a ground support unit leader trainee to the same incident. So basically he be off tomorrow, the next day, and then he will be reassigned for 14 days.
Cool.
So that's where we're at there. As you and I talked to you previously, looking at bringing on some just some seasonal type volunteers. That is done. I will have John here Thursday, get him through his physical on Saturday or Friday. And then through the weekend, we'll make sure all the equipment's up and ready to go as far as equipment needs and everything like that. And then the goal is to have that engine on the board Monday.
Right on. Right on.
And then the only other thing, I was notified Friday evening that I was accepted to the Chief Executive Officer class at the National Fire Academy. And that will be the end of August. And all tuition and travel is paid for.
Perfect.
Congratulations.
So
That's great.
since I'm not a firefighter, give me elaborate a little bit.
So the National Fire Academy puts on a lot of like pretty much from entry level all the way to Chief Executive Officer classes. Tuition's always free for anybody that goes. Depending on the type of agency you are, all the travel arrangements are reimbursed on the back end. So
Right on.
already got certification in about 5 or 6 different things from the National Fire Academy. So
Oh man.
kind of stoked to see what their new class offers.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good job.
And then other than that, if you guys had any questions, I will be free to answer them.
How many Zoll monitors is that grant for?
2.
Great.
Anything else for Chief? No? That was easy, right? All right, Dustin, you're up, man.
Mr. Mayor, Council, you have my report. I'll entertain any questions. One thing I just wanted to add that's not there is just this week, we've noticed additional vandalism at High Plains Park. I just bring it to your attention. Apparently kids are pulling the around the sewer lift station fence. We have those visibility slats that go down through there. Kids have been pulling them out and we're finding broken ones all over the park
And they're throwing.
in the morning. So just another reinforcement for police department, police presence. Other than that, my report, I'll entertain any questions if you
They
have.
make good swords.
Yeah, apparently so.
Right on.
Same group every day.
Is it?
They're throwing rocks up and down the streets now too. Yeah.
I suppose you have kind of a front row seat there to that park.
I did ask them kindly to stop throwing rocks at my house and they did. They said they didn't mean to. So that was good. They were trying to hit the fence.
Nice.
They like throwing rocks at that big piece of wood that's in the basketball court.
Yeah.
Sounds like a shotgun going off in the backyard. So then they start throwing them at the backboard of the basketball hoop, which if they miss that, they gets awfully close. But yeah, there's rocks all over in the street now almost every day and pop cans everywhere. I watch maintenance crew every morning go through there and pick up
Yeah, she's
cans and litter every morning in that part.
running a lot of stuff each morning up there. So I don't know if there's a gang, I mean, summertime, gang of kids, I imagine are just running.
Same ones all the time, yeah. I'm scared of them, so I don't go down there.
Running through.
Like 4 girls, they're mean.
4 girls. Anything else for Dustin?
No.
All right. I see you out there, Virginia. Awesome. What do you got for us?
Eight states together.
The wanted decoration contest again and the Christmas carnival.
How'd that go last year?
Oh, what, you want about 10 houses?
Oh,
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
Houses participate.
Okay. Right on. Yeah, I'm, unless council has, you know, doesn't want to, I'm okay with doing it again this year. I think it's a good thing. So I think it's fun for the community.
Committee meets Monday night. We're always looking for volunteers if anybody would like to come.
Right on. And what was it about Christmas? I didn't hear that part. Yes?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He said yes, please.
Totally.
Yeah, do you and Sonny want to fight it out?
Absolutely not.
Forfeit will help.
All right, I think the fire department would be more than happy to assist, but I think you guys heading it up would be good. So, and thank you for all you're doing. The July 4th parade was really awesome. It was great. And everybody was right at the end. And there was like 1,000 people there, and then there was like beginning and end, and then everybody, there was like just sparsely populated in between. I told my kids to save candy, but they were just handfuls at a time. So it is what it is. It was fun. So right on. Anything for Virginia?
I just saw down at the end about hosting possibly like a farmer's market or vendor event. Who? Farmer's market would be kind of cool.
Be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do it.
Cool.
Like the farmer's market idea.
Right on. Does that cover you? Awesome. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Mayor, something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank Virginia for allowing our church to help with the parade. It's always cool to get to be able to be a part of it, and so just wanted to thank Virginia for putting that on. I didn't get to make it. We were in Salt Lake, but I saw lots of pictures. It looked like it went really well, and I know that our church was really excited that she allowed us to help again for another year. So thank you.
Awesome. She said she shook her head up and down. So. Awesome.
You said you weren't any help. Good to hear.
Right on. All right, moving on. Petitions and public comment. I would remind everyone to just keep it civil, and let's each person has 5 minutes, and the floor is now yours. You don't have to raise your hand. You just come up whenever it's your turn.
I'd like to start by saying thank you. I've been meaning to come up here for a long time because I think that your dedication to our community is fantastic. And I don't know if you get told enough the appreciation that you deserve for the support that you give to our community. I think one of the biggest things about an elected official's job is to continuously be learning. You take it upon yourselves to find the knowledge and be able to share it with us. And I see that in you guys, and I really appreciate that. I also absolutely love the new splash pad. The turf was a phenomenal idea, and my 7-year-old absolutely loves that there's swings there. So it's been fantastic. And so are the staff. We actually ended up getting a ball stuck by accident, and in trying to get the ball down, they got a t-shirt stuck. So it was an absolute nightmare, but your staff was fantastic. They shut the water off, got a ladder, came and got it all out, turned the water back on, and they were just so great to do that with a smile on their face. And I also thought it was high time for me to come and voice my support for the Radiant Nuclear facility that is looking to come into Bar None. We have a young family ourselves. We've been in Bar None to be 16 years as of October 30th. And I think that this is going to be something that is phenomenal for our community. I look forward to the growth and the development of our town. I think this will be something that'll be a really positive impact for keeping, future children here with that. And I make a lot of comments about, how a lot of the industries in our state are what kind of pay a lot of the taxes go towards. So as somebody who advocates also for public education, a lot of our taxes kind of ride on the back of oil and gas industry. So having something like this would be absolutely fantastic to see a little bit of that revenue come in, well, a lot of that revenue. So I will say it is difficult to kind of come here and do that because there's a lot of negativity on social media. And I've had a lot of really great conversations with people who are in favor of it. But it's difficult to want to come out because we're not looking to fight or, cause any more contention that there already is. We just see the positive aspect of this and we want to grow and learn as much as we can about it. And I have several friends and family who work in jobs that they all carry a specific level of danger. You know what I mean? My husband works at the refinery, so he's around H2S and something could explode in a snap of a minute. You know, he's a first responder. I'm sure everybody here knows. So there's always a little bit of concern. But this does not concern me. Again, I think it's very exciting. I think we should be so lucky that they chose our community because when companies like this come in, they look at the cost of living, they look at public education, they want people to want to live here. And so that says a lot about this area. So I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you get the name and?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Into this.
Thank you. Don't look at me like that, Mike. Any other petitions or public comments?
You won't say it.
name is Alex Sherrill. I'm more of a recent resident of this community in Varna, but I'm a military brat. I've lived all over the United States. I have a father who's a Green Beret and says that this Radiant company being within 10 miles of us is a terrorist target. And if it goes off within 10 miles and the people outside are exposed to anything like that, what are we going to do when we get an alert on our phone and it says everything outside is radioactive and we're watching our kids play in the front yard? And I don't have a personal opinion on people's home values and how much they'll be losing 10 to 20%. But I asked Google and AI and it just tells me everybody within a 10-mile radius of this facility is going to lose home value. I'm almost 40 years old and my parents purchased houses in their 20s. I don't know how hard it was to build this. I wasn't here for all of it. But as living all over the United States, I can say you guys have the cleanest air and the cleanest water in the entire country that I have experienced. We don't have the inner city problems. We have a beautiful family community here. I don't understand why you haven't had a voice at these previous town halls be at the front of this for this community saying, I don't see why in all the legislation that has made it easier for these people to come here, there's no amendment to make sure they have to stay 10 miles or more away from people. I don't understand where's the protection for the people and the lives that they are building here. You guys have invested millions of dollars in infrastructure. And they have $1 billion facility and they could dig their own infrastructure. They don't need us to save them $1. They're trying to save money on hazmat transport just to be closer to mines. They can do things like the other energy industries in this part of the country do, and they can bus people from 20 minutes away for a commute. Like, I'm very worried about there being an exodus in this community. And that the people who are left behind and stuck that can't move, like the disabled people or the retired people who live here, don't have anybody to advocate for them because there'll be people who will move and they'll take a profit loss. But there's going to be people who can't. And I'm really worried about that. I'm a disabled person myself, so I see those people. That's all I really came here to say. And I hope to see some responses in the Oil City News or some more momentum around this being gathered. Because from what I've seen, it's been going on for 1.5 years. They built a lot of momentum. They have millions and millions of dollars put into this. We have 2,981 people here and a 1,000-house community. What chance do we have to fight this David and Goliath case? You know? Do you have private counsel, by the way? Because I've also heard rumor that you had private counsel and had a non-disclosure agreement that you've been talking with Radiant reps with attorneys.
What do you mean?
2.5 months.
What do you mean by private counsel?
Private counsel that would protect you from any litigation if there was.
Well, I mean,
because they're probably going to be people to sue for compensatory damages when their houses lose value as a whole, as a community?
So that would be Patrick, well, he's not Patrick Holter, but there is a certain amount of governmental immunity that comes with this role. So,
I mean, do we need?
right, so it's not private counsel, it's a municipal counsel that Patrick Holter provides to the town.
Does the town have a representation to protect them from this kind of stuff? To look forward.
So I feel where you're coming from, right? So, here's,
Amendment to the bill would all be that'd be all that I asked for, just move it 10 miles away from people.
Right.
We're
so that's above my pay grade. Okay. So state law is above my pay grade. Now I'm not that I'm trying to kick a can, but that's above my pay grade. And then one of the other things is, and I'll try to explain it the best I can, right? So NRC has a whole list of statutory guidelines that nuclear companies have to follow whenever they install a nuclear facility, right? So a nuclear power plant has to have an emergency exclusion zone of, I think it's 10 miles around it, right? So this is because this is so much smaller, their exclusion zone is much smaller.
But there's a history of energy companies across the United States butting up next to communities, and there being 10 to 20 years of litigation to prove that they have degenerative forms of cancer and loss of childbirth and stuff like that, just to let alone get them acknowledge those things or get up and pick up and go down the road.
Okay.
Look at Aaron Brockovich.
Right.
Yeah. It's not funny. It's not something to snark at people getting cancer and dying from this kind of stuff. This is our community we're talking about. These are, like I said, I don't want the people to be an afterthought. I don't want them to think about the company before they think about the people. That's what I mean, I don't know if I'll get to see it be stopped from doing that. And I hope that you guys can keep building the beautiful family community here. I have a lot of respect and admiration for everything you guys have done and built here. But I want to help protect it. I want to see if we can make that an amendment to the bill to where we can keep it 10 miles or more away from people, safe distance, and at least to where if an evacuation was needed, we don't have to worry about looking at our kids in the front.
Right.
And noticing that maybe later because of radiation exposure, their hair, the fingernails is going to fall out from a terrorist attack or something like that.
So, well, that was part of what I was saying about the NRC. So let's go back to the NDA real quick. So there's no NDA.
You don't have private counsel.
I have.
He doesn't. You mean like like he's got his own attorney?
You mean like I have a private attorney? Is that what you're?
I had heard that through a request of Freedom of Information Act that there was redacted conversations that you made with Radiant.
Oh, that's, yeah. That's, sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I just, so what that is that whenever someone sends an email, I don't know if you've ever seen it, you look down at the bottom, it says that this email is, private and that you are not allowed to share the information. You ever seen one of those before? They usually companies send them with, and they're attached to their email. Does that make sense? So whenever we as governmental bodies, we don't have that, right? All of those are supposed to be public. So when you get a Freedom of Information Act, you
don't have any kind of private counsel, and you don't think that it means the people should get home appraisals and retain private counsel just in case there are compensatory damages?
I didn't say that. You can do whatever you want to. I mean, if you want to have private counsel, you can. I was just explaining the NDA to you.
I was asking if your opinion was that you thought that would be a result of this being so close to people's homes that we would need to do so.
I don't believe so. Okay, so if you want to hear, you know what? Before I start, I want to hear your side. So, what is it that scares you the most about this? I want to hear it.
Well, I mean, with my father being as high in the military as he was, being a sergeant major in Green Beret, and knowing the things he did about nuclear stuff, I assumed with him telling me, with his expertise, that this was extremely dangerous to everything we invested in. So that's one thing. And then when they said storing nuclear waste and that the dry casts were only good for 40 years, but that there was a chance of the company going bankruptcy and the entire financial responsibility falling on the community of bar none to continue storing it or get rid of it and stuff like that. How do we insulate ourselves as a community from this kind of predatory company behavior? We're favoring them instead of the protection up front. Like, no, wait a minute. This is safe. as far away from us. You don't have to try and save a buck on this stuff when you're a $1 billion facility. Stuff, I mean, I don't see a pushback is what I'm seeing here.
Right. So to answer some of those questions, I can't answer all of them, but because I'm not an expert, but Radiant actually has answered a lot of these questions, but I'll do the best I can. Okay. So first of all, the casks are recertified or relicensed every 40 years. But currently there's casks that are sitting in nuclear power plants, and there are casks that are sitting, hold on, just let me finish. Okay. I'm, this is dialogue, right? Okay. So I want to have a back and forth with you. I don't want to have a fight here. So the casks are certified every 40 years by the NRC, right? And that doesn't mean they only last 40 years, right? So the casks themselves are supposed to last for, I don't know what the time is, a long time, right? And then when those casks wear out, what they do is they monitor them constantly, right? And then they just take the stuff that's in them and put them in a new cask, right? And that's how it works. And so, I mean, there's no guarantees in life, right? What was the other question? I forgot. I kind of got off on casks and I meandered.
Question was what was the pushback on this stuff? Instead of everything making it easier for them, where is all the protective measures ahead of all of this stuff?
Right. So
They talk about breaking ground in January and stuff, but there is no legislation for them to manufacture anything yet. They're already trying to break ground in January this close to this community before there could be any kind of push for an amendment that would make sure that they have to move that far away from people.
right. So that's, I mean, quite honestly, that's on them, right? So they are a private business. That is private land, and it's within county, right? So I mean, I'm not saying that we're not part of this or that we don't have a say. I'm just saying that that is a private company making their decisions to do things. And if the legislation doesn't come through for them, that's on them. As for the safety of it, I mean, I mean, the Facebook community has gone rounds and rounds on this. People have gone rounds and rounds on this. And I would just really, really encourage you to do some research, because when
say that nuclear wasn't any more dangerous than windmills or solar, but the radioactivity of the stuff lasts for 1 million+ years. Like even 100 million years. Some of the stuff at the levels at which they're using it at 15.3 or 15.5 uranium enrichment,
right,
that waste will last more than 100 million years. I can show you the Google report on that stuff. Like the casts are not going to last that long. And how long will this company be around to maintain that before it falls financially on this community? Because who's going to buy a house with a nuclear facility in the back?
So lots of people live around nuclear reactors around the United States. Like, it's new to us, right? It's new to us, right? And so it's scary. Lots of people around the United States do live around nuclear reactors. They live around nuclear casks, right? So it's not something new here in the United States. Speaking as to the money side of it, from what I've heard from Radiant and from, I haven't done a ton of research on it. Radiant is required to hold a bond for, was it 15 billion or something, like some absurd amount of money to maintain the casks and to maintain the site in case they do go out of business, which also remind you that they won't even be producing their first reactor until 2028.
But they'll be doing 50 at a time, and after 5 years, they'll come back 50 at a time.
Right. And so so there is a discussion there to be had, are they safe? Right. And so
eventually the numbers will add up. That's what I'm saying. It's like, at what point is there a number that's too much?
It's like, these are really good questions, I think, for Radiant to answer.
that's kind of how I feel about it.
I know that she said they do have a set amount of spent fuel they can store there.
Halls or seeing you speak and stuff.
I've been at 2 of the town halls, but I was actually in Idaho at the last meeting, so I wasn't able to be here. I was going to be here, but I wasn't able to. So
all of us want to see you there. We want to hear from you, just like we're hearing from you here.
Right. I understand, but I can't be in 2 places at once. It's literally, hard as I try, it's impossible, man.
So where we were, because I've been a lot of those meetings, we were at Idaho National Laboratories instead of that meeting for 2 days.
Okay.
So, and we'll talk later about that.
On their own dime.
But I'm trying to get as active as I can to learn as much about this stuff and how close it is to us, the risks involved and stuff, and trying to figure out how and why it could still be profitable to us, but not as close to us with, I mean, I'm not saying it has to be outside this district even or anything like that. It's just, there's a lot of open space, you know, to not be so close to a population, like a nice family community that's growing still. And I feel like it can in some ways be considered a poison bullet to the community. Like, because of,
I can see that. I can see that side of it. I mean, you know, and I've considered that multiple times. Like, it's not something that I haven't thought about. You know, I know there's probably plenty of people who think I don't think about this, but this literally is on my plate every single day for every single hour, and I lose sleep over it at night. Like, I think about this community and its safety, and and the prosperity of this community. It concerns me deeply. Like, it is literally all I think about. And so it is really important to me. So that's why I do research. That's why I study. That's why I look at both sides. You know, there's, you know, I mean,
great things about nuclear. I'm not anti-nuclear.
no, and that's
Against it being so close to people in a dangerous way.
right. And I think that's, and like I said, I think that kind of goes back to that idea of it's new to us, right? Like, I've never lived near nuclear before, but I've worked with oil. I haven't worked with, but I know about coal, right? But you know, so I had to start studying about nuclear. And from what I've learned about these casks and what I know about oil, like, cause I work in the oil industry, if I had to choose in between a pile of fly ash, a 400 barrel, you know, oil tank in my backyard or one of these nuclear casks, I'd choose a nuclear cask every single time. And the reason behind that is, and I know that sounds crazy because you're like, oh my gosh, you're going to irradiate your family, right? But the reason is I know what's in that oil, and that oil is not safe, right? Oil is really, really toxic. It contains all sorts of cancer-causing agents and things in it. The same with fly ash. Fly ash has all sorts of carcinogens in it, and it has all sorts uranium. It's got plutonium. I can't remember. Anyway, it's got tons of toxic things in it. Like, I wouldn't. But when they make these casts, they're lined with lead. They put a stainless steel cask around them, and then they put some of the highest grade concrete that you can put around it to protect it. Then they monitor it down to the microscopic level, so that if it does leak, they take it, they pull it, put it in a new one. And so I would literally feel safer with a nuclear cask in my backyard than I would with oil, because I know how toxic oil is, because I work with it every day.
No, can't take it back. You can put it there, and if it gets, you can't take it back.
I agree. And that is a really valid point. Like,
It's a change of Caspers for everybody, for them too. It's like this valley has grown so much in the past 20 or 30 years. Casper is not the Casper I remember from when I was a kid, when my family.
Right.
So I see how much money and time has been invested in the infrastructure and building up these communities, and then see this come along this close, and was like, why invest so much to throw it all away? Like,
Are we throwing it all away?
yeah, and I think that's a valid question. So anyway, we've gone quite a while. So
thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah. Feel free. So the town has an email, right? And feel free to reach out to me. And if you know, I can you know, give you a Radiance Matt's number. I can give you Matt's number. He can talk to
I'm
you.
doing my best to voice my opinions with Bill Elman too, and some of the other district leaders from the House of Representatives as well. Like I said, I'm not super like activist or anything like that. It's just like I've become more involved in this since I even heard about it originally from Bill Elman, trying to discuss making the community aware to have an opinion before it's too late. You know.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Any other petitions or public comment?
Yeah, I'm Mr. Anonymous, and I live somewhere.
Mike, we know who you are.
So 5 minutes is 5 minutes, not 20, 15, 5.
Thank you, Mike. We were having a conversation.
So I want to break the ice here a little bit on this radiant. How's our paint truck?
Oh, Mike, it's
What are you looking at?
operative. It has not been operative since we bought it. It has multiple mechanical problems that we are discovering every day we try to use it.
We have training on it yet?
We do not. We have it set up, but it is not functional at the moment. So we can't get trained on a piece of equipment that doesn't work.
There you go. And I would like to commend Ray on his outstanding outfit this evening.
It does look sharp, doesn't it?
Wow, I look. As far as radiant goes, a ton of people out here that are against radiant. There's one young lady here who's for it. I've talked to a lot of people myself, believe it or not. Most people are either for or against, but there's a huge population that doesn't care one way or the other. They're just indifferent to it. They build it, they build it. If they don't build it, they don't build it. They don't really care. So when people come up here and say, nobody in town wants this, until you show me a petition with 3,000 signatures, then I might believe it. And that's all I got today. Yeah,
I have a question.
shoot.
Would
That's
it,
my job.
would it make you happy if we sold the paint truck and put our striping out to bid?
Yes, I believe so. I mean,
Maybe,
spend $97,000. Sure. The county will do it. Then.
They won't
you have to
anymore.
Remember,
The county won't,
this
but
radiant project is being built in Trona County. It's being built here. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike,
Keep going.
Being lynched. I know you are. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Or, Mr. Anonymous. Any other petitions or public comment?
Thank you.
Wasn't gonna say anything because I don't live up there, but I got a message from Dave North because I was on Glenwoods this morning and I was talking about this facility. And he said, this morning, FYI, the storage distance for the type of fuel Radiant will be using is only 0.5 to 0.6 miles from residence. It's not the 10 miles. That's for weapons grade. You're comparing 5 to 10% to 90 to 99%. Just thought I'd share that with you. My understanding is too that the only small number of our legislators want to bring in spent fuel from other states. Now I'm going to stop there for a minute because that's part of what a lot of people are really concerned with is the fact that if these guys get in here and they want to store their product, that's just 1%. That's just one thing. But what if we end up being like one of the 10 storage facilities that the United States is looking for like a Yucca Mountain program?
Are you,
Like other companies coming in.
are you talking about Wyoming in general, or are you talking about bar none?
You know, Wyoming is designated as one of the proposed of the 10 sites to store nuclear waste. And as you all know, our laws are not that good on this right now. And so he goes on to say, I do agree with you that if anything like this were to happen, it should be a very long way from any population source. I'm not saying I want it. I'm just saying your side of this is also correct on things. But the point I'm trying to make here is I think we're kind of putting the horse before the cart, guys. Wyoming is relatively new to this kind of thing. And I think a lot of people aren't real sure on why it has to be where it has to be. I mean, I think if you guys would have moved it and put it out further, it made these people feel safer. Because right now they don't feel safe. And I get that from every time I'm at one of these or one of the meetings on it. And they're afraid, and I don't blame them. I'm from Michigan and I have seen the detrimental accidents that even small amounts of radiation does. Okay, and you were talking about your cement casters. Well, this is alkali, and it doesn't take no time at all for alkali to eat through cement. Trust me. We've gone through a lot of piping on my well out in Natrona because we're alkaline out there too. And you guys need to really look at this. This is not about a money thing. And you don't need to grow like that this way. This is a family-oriented neighborhood. What happens when the first lawsuit comes up for breast cancer? Okay, I had breast cancer. I worked around chemicals in the chromium and sodium cyanide, things like that. I know where mine came from. And I can also tell you that my father worked around nuclear plants and he also died from cancer, from such things. Just saying that I think you guys ought to hang this up and make a move it way out. I don't care if it's McMurray money or not. That isn't here nor there. The fact is, I don't think this is good for your community. I think you better be better off with a Coca-Cola plant or a Budweiser plant, because you're gonna be putting 250 families to work instead of 10% of how much? It doesn't even say 10% of what? 10% of 5 people, 20 people, 100 people? But anyway, just wanted to tell you what Dave said.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Yeah,
What was your name?
Judy Jones.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kevin Campbell, and I'm actually not from your community. I'm from Glen Rock. We're representing out of House District 62. I came here to ask you guys a couple of questions. A couple of you guys just came back from Idaho. Many of us legislatures have never been afforded the opportunity to do such wonderful thing. But I know you guys have put a lot of research into this. And my question is, you guys are looking at becoming the first of its kind, as far as I know, in the world with what we're doing. I know you guys are very aware that there's 94 nuclear power plants right now in the USA?
Something like
I
that.
think 50, some of them are active or whatever.
54,
Okay,
35 states.
every power plant, every state, they produce waste and they store it on site in these very safe dry casks. But what you guys are looking at doing is you're joining, this is a private enterprise that is going to send out their product all over the globe and then bring nuclear waste from all over the globe, wherever their customer base is. Now, it will come back to bar none and be stored here. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first of a kind ever that has stored nuclear waste from globally. Have you guys looked into that at all? Thank you.
Any other petition? Oh,
See you gentlemen, ladies. Mike Newquest. Florida management. Okay. We've all worked really hard, everybody. Gathering data, gathering facts, gathering things from both sides. Everything. We've even caught the county commissioners in their own freaking net of web. And they got themselves hung out. And I urge this council not to annex that land and make it part of Bar None. Let the county figure this mess out. This is their mess. They made it. They messed up with the zoning out there. Do not bail them out. I implore you. People of this town have had it. We're sick of the corruption. We're sick of our money being robbed from us to give to private businesses. I am a private business. You think I want to stop business? I don't. And none of us are trying to stop this business. We're just saying you can't do it here. It's high time you guys did the will of the people. We're not asking you to break your oath of office. In fact, we're asking you to uphold it. We're making decisions that, like they say, has never been done before. We ought to be taking heed, gathering more information, asking more questions. You guys want to do this? Fine, you do it somewhere else. And it's somewhere where you're not going to hurt people. Because I'll tell you what we do for a living that's dangerous, we only hurt ourselves. If something goes wrong. Human error. We all pay for it. And nobody takes that into account with any of this stuff. The human error. Okay, that's all I have.
thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Any other petitions or public comment?
Rosemary Spawn, Oconee County resident. First of all, I want to bring up that Councilman Sabrowski has told me that you guys like to laugh at me after I have addressed you. Is there a fact in that?
No,
So what is that, Dan? I mean, if you want to laugh, let's laugh.
You want an honest back and forth? I didn't say laugh, did I?
You said they laughed twice.
No. I don't say laugh. I say, when you come and read verbatim from 5 minutes straight, we sit here, just like the county commissioners, and can't absorb it. It's just, I'm gonna say it, you drone on, and we can't get the information from you. It's what you've done for years at the county commissioner level. It's what you're doing here. And you roll your eyes at us at the end of your stuff. You ask us, do we understand what you're saying? And we're just sitting here. So yeah, as humans, do we talk about our experience after a meeting? Yeah. Do we sit around here and just yuck it up and laugh? I didn't say that. I said, it's tough to sit and hear you talk for 5 minutes and we don't gain any information. I even said to you that last time when you talked, you should have summarized it, handed it over to Mike Newquist and let him come and get it, because we didn't get any information from what you said. Mike Newquist does a great job of coming to that mic and doling out information. Did I say that about Mike Newquist and your information? Did I say you should summarize it and give it to him?
Didn't I say at the front of that? And I don't want to get into.
And we've been friends, so we got in an argument the other night.
Yeah.
So a lot of things get said in an argument. So if that's what we're gonna do for 5 minutes, talk about our argument, have at it.
These people don't work for you, Dan. Making demands on these people. Being inflammatory such that you are. I told you guys at the start of that meeting that I was reading to you what I had said to the county commission. I was addressing 2 attorneys that have the comprehension. That is going to take the time to say, do you have any questions? That was the time to say, we didn't understand that. We didn't comprehend that. Now I will say, thank you tonight, Peter. Your demeanor has changed. Have I been irritated in here? Yes. When I dug through hours and hours of legislative testimony and then brought that in at the start of all this and asked if I could give that to you guys and if you'd like to see it, and you said yes, and then we don't have the time. I work too. And I have time, lots of time to devote to people and to listen and try to weigh both sides of it, because I wasn't against this either until they lied. They blatantly lied. And when somebody lies, you can't trust them. A man is only as good as his word. That's it. That's all a man has in this life. And I find it interesting that you're talking about oil, because I work in oil. And for 3 years, I tested and designed frac fluid systems and cement fluid systems. So you're 100% correct in what is in oil. 100%. And it's a concern to me, because if you fly across the United States between the Mexican border and the Canadian border, and you start looking at the pock marks and how many thousands of gallons have been pumped into the ground, and what we are doing when wells communicate, which happens a lot, and when you want to pump CO2 into the ground and into depleted formations to try to get a higher flow, and then you're pumping chemicals in there. It's an issue. It's a concern. And I assume that you do work in the oil field then, yes?
Mhm.
So you know what's covered up. You know what doesn't get reported, as do I. With nuclear, you can't tell me that doesn't happen either. And if it does, then we've got a big problem. It's not an oil spill. It's not something that's going to do some damage, that's going to do some damage in the Gulf. And then phone calls are going to be made, because I was there when Deepwater Horizon gave up. And the threats that came down from up above, that you do not answer any questions, you do not give away trade secret information, you don't do anything, because I was in the lab testing. They cover it up. And that's what our government does. And I don't think there's any objection, there should be any objection from reasonable men that have been around the industry, any industry, that is what happens. This is putting the cart before the horse. We're getting ahead of ourselves. The county commission, they need to be held accountable. Dan, for years, you have stood with all of us fighting that county commission that they need to be held accountable. They just do whatever they want. This is a time where they need to figure it out and they need to go under and they need to be held accountable because they thought that they were going to get something over on the people. I'll let it go at that. Thank you for changing the attitudes tonight. I do appreciate that.
Any other petitions or public comment?
My name's Wayne Kester. I've been up here in Wyoming for about 2 years now. Lived in Kansas for 65 years. I've dealt with nuclear plus the Wolf Creek power plants. My question is that company, I don't know if the company's being cheap or what, but why doesn't the nuclear waste get transported out of here? Why can't it go to a standard place and have it dumped instead of being dumped here? You know, because in Kansas, you know, you could be hundreds of miles away from it. And a lot of people are still concerned about anything happening. That's all I have to say.
Could you write your
That sounds like a question for Radiant, just to clarify.
So my name is Jeremy Brown. I'm actually a resident of Evansville, Wyoming. This whole thing concerns me. And one question that I do have, as far as Radiant goes, and I know I'm sure I'm going to get this answer, is does Radiant have any other facilities in any other state, or is it they don't?
They have their headquarters in Segundo.
But I mean, like as far as operations,
No. So this is all going through INL for testing. What they're doing.
With us being, I know that I really don't have a voice in this community, but with us being downriver, if something were to happen, and I know we can what if all day long, what if comets come out of the sky, that type of thing. I am doing my research on this a little bit more basically, so I understand it. I'm an oil and gas man myself. I work in the oil field. So, I mean, I understand when people get worked up about oil, you know, and so I understand it. So, but as of right now, I would be against this just because from everything that I've heard, there isn't enough research on it. And I don't feel comfortable with it being this close to my house downriver. Because if it does get in the water table, if it does blow down wind, whatever the case may be, you know, it isn't just affecting Bar None, it's affecting these other communities as well. One thing I would like to say is I do appreciate the 5 minutes. It is nice to talk like that because we don't have that in Evansville. Our mayor decides to shut us down at 3 minutes and we could be, I do appreciate you engaging with your constituents. Like that is nice to see. Our mayor doesn't do that. So I commend you for doing that. And that's all I got. So, I mean, if you guys got any questions for me.
Some of the town halls that they're having out here, it's not just for Bar None. Okay, good. Because these are the questions, a lot of the questions that have come up are great questions for Radiant to have to answer.
Yeah. Well, and I did answer, or I did ask that question, you know, last time, is that if there was an accident, whether it be on the highway system or if it be here at the facility, who pays for that? And then they told me it was what they would, and also the environmental, but who pays for the environmental? It's the taxpayers, right? So
their bond, I think, covers everything. They'd have to answer that though.
Right. But that's just my main concern is I don't want Wyoming being a dumping ground when none of these other states in the whole state, I mean, you guys know if there's any other dumping grounds across the United States at all?
So depends on if you're talking high level or low level. So there's 4 states that take low level radiation waste. Then there are the other states that have nuclear power plants and they have the, like, you know, the sealed casks, they have them on their site.
Right.
Basically. So yes, there are sites like that. And yeah, so I guess that answers your question.
Do you know how many per se? I mean,
how many sites are there, Dan? What, 90 or something like that?
There's 75, somewhere around 75 get give or take, sites in 35 states.
Yeah.
And there's some cleanups out there too. They finished one, Rocky Mountain Flats. It's cleaned up, but they're monitoring. It's a wildlife refuge now. These big cleanup sites are from World War II era. The way they handled stuff, they were focusing on winning a world war, and they fumbled it a bit on storing, yeah. And, what's the one in Washington?
Starts with an H. I can't remember. Hanford.
Yeah. But, it's kind of like plane crashes, right? We crash a plane, and what do? We investigate it down to the detail. So if you look from those worst sites, starting from 70 years ago forward, you start noticing through those cleanups and through technology, if you research nuclear for the last 30 some years, you can't almost compare it to any industry as far as the safety standards or the safety record. It's part of the thing, this circular argument we keep having out there on social media. And me and Bill Alleman is my best friend. I'll tell you, the arguments me and him get into on the phone are rough. It's just like, we got a little heated with Rose the other night. This is a passionate, emotional subject. And the thing is, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but I've told Bill, bring me the bodies. Where's the death? Where's the concentrated areas of cancer? And then I'm told it's covered up. Well, that's just you saying it's covered up. There's got to be, out of all these 35 states, somebody's had to prove there's been cover up. The other thing, and we'll talk later about our trip out to Idaho National Laboratory. So when I try to bring reality up against these arguments, and when you're at a nuclear, this isn't even a storage facility, although they store stuff. These people work out there, 6,500 of them. They're retiring. That thing's been there since the early 60s. They're retiring out there in their at age 65 or whatever, and living on. And most of these people grew up in Idaho Falls, farm kids. If their friends were dying, I can't imagine they'd go to work out there. And they're working in it, not around the cast. They're working in and near the two reactors out there, test after test.
No, and I agree with you on that aspect. If there is information, I do understand that. However, to that, I would also say is how long did it take for people to realize that asbestos was so deadly? And it's not an overnight thing. It takes time for people to understand these issues. And by that time, is it too late? Like, do we want to be, polluting your guys' community and then potentially ours down the river? Or down the way. So,
well, can I make a point? And not to be, I don't want you to take this facetious or anything, because, there are realities out there. So down in Evansville, you have two refineries down there, right, and they're close to the river. And if you look at the refinery record, and listen, I'm oil and gas and coal. You can't find a more loyal person. I love it. I love what it's done for Wyoming. But there's disasters in that industry. And if that plant down there, heaven forbid, if it was ever to blow, it would be a tremendous disaster down there. And they do blow up. Ask Texas. They've had accidents at them things where them chemical plumes go into the towns. They evacuate the towns. They got to clean it up. And just like I said earlier, like a plane crash, they go in there and investigate. Because a refinery, you're talking valve here, valve there, pressure here, pressure there. That's a lot of chance for human error. There's some smart people that work in those things. But it's a lot to keep track of, to keep this valve open and this one closed. I've been on a site where they sent oil through a flare stack, napalm the site, burned up a truck. It's scary stuff, man. And so you're running for the muster site. And when you're talking about a facility up like that up there, that they're manufacturing the thing, it's not dangerous leaving here, of course, if we're going to consider nuclear dangerous, which it is if handled incorrectly. When it comes back in, they are held to a standard of transporting that thing, security and its ability to withstand a crash. They do some serious testing on this stuff. So when it's here and they transfer it, it's sitting in a cask, right, using molecular monitors inside and out. And so it's the molecule that tells the scientist, hey, that molecule shouldn't be in here. But at a human factor, that kind of intrusion isn't going to affect us for probably decades. If like out there, they showed us a cast that had some hydrogen molecules inside. The scientist said that we can't have that. That means they're being introduced from outside in. That'll create corrosion in the future. We can't have it. The future for them is decades before it would be a catastrophe of a leaking radiation. So they decommission the cask and put it in a new one. You know, so there's a lot of reality to these things.
Right. Like I said, me personally, I'm still against this. Appreciate you guys' time, giving me 5 minutes, and I would highly strongly advise you guys keep it at 5 minutes because it is so frustrating not being able to speak your time. So please keep it in 5 minutes. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Any other petitions or public comment?
Just like to say one thing, I wasn't planning on getting up here, Melinda Seabian. You say, show me the bodies. If people die from exposure to radiation, that's not gonna be what's on the death certificate. It's gonna be breast cancer or Parkinson's or any other type of cancer. So, that is how it's covered up. And so you're not gonna see that people are actually dying from radiation exposure. It'll be from something else.
Any other petitions or public comment? Going once?
He was Pete Fox. I'm from Casper. Appreciate y'all's time. So I was curious, what would be the level of radiation that we'd be exposed to? We put these spent fuel pellets in the middle of the field with zero barriers. I did a bit of Googling, right? We're all Google maniacs at this point trying to learn that stuff, which is kind of silly, right? We're making these decisions, just Googling stuff. So ban for gamma radiation from spent fuel goes from like a 0.1 million electron volts MeVs, a 0.1 to a 10. So you have 2 orders of magnitude, 10 being the outside. That's the highest energy level gamma ray that can squirt out from this spent fuel. Quick question just to get a feel. If you had no barriers, no cast, no nothing, you put these things on a pallet, make a mountain of them. Doesn't matter volume, big as you can. How much air would block those most powerful gamma rays to where it finally decays down to just background radiation levels? That's 5 half-value levels if you're interested in that. Take a wild guess, how much air? Lot. Less than 1,200 feet. That was surprising to me. And it would be great to have a nuclear expert validate that because I'm Googling stuff, right? The best I could do, looking at the calcs, I'm an engineer, looked at the calc best I could. It only takes 1,200 feet for a completely exposed pile of this spent fuel to be blocked to background radiation levels. And that's the worst of the worst gamma rays. It only takes 100 feet for most of it. So if we're thinking death and destruction, if we're living around this stuff, it's really not that bad. This is going to be in a separate facility. It doesn't matter where the facility is located, 10 miles, 2 miles, whatever. People in the facility, that risk is going to be the same for them, no matter where it is. The risk that we're worried about that really frightens us is the spent fuel stored outside the facility. And what happens if something happens? We have all these barriers.
different things to reduce that risk. The risk is so small. If you were to compare this to your kid riding on a four-wheeler, it's like night and day. So just something to think about. I know it's emotional. I know people care about this stuff, but 1,200 feet, the worst of the worst of the worst could happen. And if you're 1,200 feet away, you're fine. Thank
you, Pete. Any other petitions or public comment?
Frank Perry, and I'm a resident of Evansville. I'm here to save coal. I'm gonna put out some dominoes and try to knock the pin down, but there was a study done in the eighties at Colorado State University. And they took 2 clones from a pine tree. And they put one in a greenhouse that was normal conditions, just like it is here now. And the other one they put in there, and it was double CO2, constant double CO2. And one that's in standard conditions took 4 years to get to transplant age. And the one that was in the double CO2 took 16 months to be a 4-year-old tree. So I think that capturing CO2 with our coal plants and putting greenhouses and then cloning pine trees from our forest here, I think we could rebuild our forest too. And more industry that way, I think, save coal, because I know that we're going to go down this uranium journey, rabbit hole, whatever you want to call it. And I know in 20 years, we'll be right back here with coal. It's going to save the world pretty much. It's the most cheap energy we have, because we were told to lie, oh, go with solar, go with these wind turbines. And all it's done is it's cost us more money. When coal, my whole life, that's what most everybody in here, education paid for, was by coal. So uranium's not going to do that big of a footstep in taking care of the education and bringing all this money in. Coal is the answer. That's our whole purpose here, I think. And there's more coal beneath the coal that they're mining now. So I think if we truly invested in clean coal technology, in hydrothermal, and some more hydroelectric dams, I think we could really change the energy market for the future. Because that's what they're debating on, is how do we get to the future? But I don't think abandoning coal, which built this nation, is the right course of action.
Give me a second. So Frank, I feel you on that one. With this whole radiant thing, like, I don't foresee that affecting you or coal at all in this state. And I do agree with you. Like, going forward, I mean, not that I have any control over it in my position. I'm a mayor bar none. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is my little domain right here, right? But it's you know, I've always been of the opinion of having diversity in our electrical grid. And so, you know, I don't think coal is going to be going anywhere anytime soon, right? Because, you know, coal, you know, natural gas and nuclear is and, you know, wind and solar probably have their place, I guess. I don't know. But, you know, hydroelectric, things like that. All of those are good, you know. So what are you going to say, Dan?
I want to calm put your fears to rest in this area. The coal industry in this state is safe. I'm assuming easily 50 to 100 years, and probably more. Part of it, and thankfully Warren Buffett seen the light last year at his stockholders meeting, because Gates and Buffett play a game of federal subsidy dollars to shut down coal-fired power plants, turn them into carbon capture.
Yeah.
If you notice, and Glenrock was on schedule 1 unit at a time to get shut down. It's off the table. Warren Buffett's pulled back. He knows the federal subsidies aren't going to be there. He's changing his mind on how to do this. That power plant's safe now for a while. it may get to just wear itself out like it's supposed to do. And thank goodness for Trump and his administration, and we're looking at exporting our coal through the Gulf of America, because the East Coast won't do the deep sea ports. Chuck Gray, bless his soul, tried to the damnedest to get us a deep sea port over there, but couldn't get our governor on board. But they're going to train it down that way, I believe. The AI data centers that are coming online through I-80, I had a power guy tell me, even if nuclear, because Trump is pushing a nuclear renaissance, it's coming to the Rocky Mountain region. And Idaho National Laboratories is the point of the spear to start getting us out there. They're going to be in our schools with the STEM programs. Now, I keep begging as a contractor. I go to the school board meetings and I walk with Rob Hill sometimes in this effort to get our CT programs back in online. We can't find the help out here. Industry can't find the help. But when I'm in the school board meetings, I see some other contractors. I've seen 71 Construction there. I don't see our industries there. And I love our legacy industries. Nuclear's coming to, they need help. They're good paying jobs. It's going to be, if they allow it to come to Wyoming, because it's up to our legislators, it would be an additional industry to our legacy industries, and they'd parallel each other out there. Could be up to 100 years. Will nuclear take over coal-powered fire plants? Probably out there in those years. It is a transitional industry, and coal-fired power plants to nuclear power plants, but we're talking a long ways down the road. The nuclear can't keep up with the AI data centers. There's so much power drain coming. We're behind the 8 ball on it. And I also heard they're possibly looking at building another coal-fired power plant here in Wyoming. And we do need to. Let's build 6 of them.
New coal-fired power plant before we do any other venture rabbit hole. So that's something I think.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other petitions or public comment? Going once, going twice. Pat Sweeney, how are you, sir?
So, Pat Sweeney, from Casper. I live in North Casper, but, I just would encourage you, I think personally and all of the above. And I just see Radiant as a positive indicator. I agree with your sentiments about coal. I don't think coal's going anywhere. And I don't see nuclear taking its place. I just think it's another piece of the puzzle. And, Councilman Zembrowski raised a good point about all of these, the demand with the AI and the data centers and all of that coming online. And it would take, I forget how many megawatts they need to power one of those centers. And it would take, I think, 4 or 5 minimum of these micro reactors to even get close to powering one of those AI centers, let alone the rest. But I would encourage everybody to keep an open mind. I would hope that at some point, if council sees fit, to pass some sort of resolution, and hopefully in the positive. But I urge people to keep an open mind. I live, like I say, in North Casper. You have a north-south wind. If there is a disaster, which I don't foresee that happening with what we're talking about here, the Radiance Cup. I appreciate your time and appreciate Mayor Boyer and Councilor Zembrowski taking the time to go to the national labs. I'm will be interested in your conversations and what you learn, because I think it can be a game changer, not only for Barna and Natrona County,
but the state. And we're not talking about our legacy industries. They're totally safe, and especially with President Trump. So appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other petitions or public comment? Going once, there we go.
And Chris Barnum. So there has been a lot of arguing on Facebook, which is really unfortunate. It could have been completely avoided, I feel like, in a lot of arenas. A question that I have for Councilman Sprosky is, can you explain exactly what your intentions were with calling people in the community who are concerned residents, radical leftist rioters? Can you explain to us what that implication was? Because I can tell you.
You want my answer?
Yeah, sure. Let's hear your answer.
Okay, so those that know the backstory, I was a member of the Stop Radiant group, right? And I made a promise to you early on because I was commenting in that group and I was saying stuff like, it's coming. I don't think we can stop it anyway if we wanted to. And I don't know that we should, right? I was making those type of comments. You had asked me, because of the position I sit in, to refrain from making those type of comments because they weigh heavily on the people in the community. It doesn't give them a chance to respond. And I agreed with you and I stayed quiet in there and I monitored it, you know. I wanted to see, because you guys were putting out information and I would go look at it, but I never would come back and comment on it. So I check in after the Idaho Labs thing and I've been removed. Now, I know who removed me and I'm going to give them grace because look, about me, I've been in Wyoming politics fighting and as an activist for 14 years. I've been a city councilman for 7 months. And we've talked about this. Sometimes what hat I'm wearing gets mixed up. Still working on that. When I seen I was removed, when I asked for a screenshot of my comment, I was removed for a like to a comment. I've never had that happen to me. That got the fires going in me. So I challenged, and I used the wrong word first. I was directing all my comments to the leadership in that Facebook page. That is the wrong thing to do. That squash and dissent is not what we do in Wyoming. We talk about it. We argue about it. We beat each other up over it. But that group is shutting down any conversation for theirs. And that's fine. That's a private group. They can do that, but it's infuriating. So I wanted to get that out in public that that's how that's operating. Because in my opinion, the information coming out of the leadership of that group can be construed, in my opinion, as fear-mongering. Because the arguments we're having, and we're seeing it on that Facebook page, they get circular. Because there's information pushed forward and it's answered with a reality check that this is reality, this is what happens out there. And then we go in this circle. And so we're not going to change each other's minds in that argument, but people are reading it and they're not coming. So there's information being disseminated through those back and forth to people that are reading those comments. And so that original attack is for the leadership of that group. Yes, not the entire town.
Number one, those comments were not made in the Stop Radiant group. You made those comments on Bar None community.
I did. That's because I had to move over there because you guys kicked me out.
Any comments in Stop Radiant to to what we're talking about? Those comments weren't made in the group. Secondly, I really don't I feel it's false accusations to say we're spreading deliberate misinformation or that we shut people down. Because there are conversations that go on. There's conversations going on right now where people disagree. And all of the information that's shared in that community page is shared by over 200 people. We don't even all know each other. And nobody has come forward and claimed to be a leader of any group. So I don't know who you're saying is a leader who's going around spreading misinformation or who's fear mongering. I feel as though you are targeting residents in this town who are petitioning against Radiant, who are petitioning to not change legislation in this state that could protect us. And you're basically mocking us, and I don't appreciate that. We're trying very hard to save our town, save our community, preserve our Wyoming values. And, you know, personal attacks are unwarranted. And that's how I feel about it. And that's my opinion. For what it's worth.
Respond.
Yeah.
So in response to that, the personal attacks are both ways. We've been accused of being corrupt. The mayor's been accused of and talk of taking bribes. It is the ugliness of and the nature of politics. It happened way back during our founding fathers, who were great friends. I'm telling you, I've been friends with all you guys out there. I've been friends. Bill Allen's my best friend. We get ornery with each other over this stuff. Our founding fathers did too. Those guys were blistering against each other. When me as a city councilman or a person that lives out here or an activist in Wyoming politics, I haven't given up my First Amendment right. I have an opinion now based on what I've learned. And I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I feel compelled to get it out there.
So as a councilman, you feel compelled to mock your constituents.
As a person, mock, I said fear mongering. And what happened Monday night, okay, and this is what I said, the leftist comment was what you guys did at that meeting on Monday night and the article that came out in Oil City News.
You guys.
That was an embarrassment. The shouting them down and not being able to talk. That's a tactic right out of Rules for Radicals. And
Your opinion.
it's an embarrassment to the town. So that is my opinion. And why can't I state that opinion?
Okay, let's cut it off. That's good. Any other petitions or public comment? Going once, going twice. Almost made it.
Okay, once.
Jesse Defoe debating on whether or not I should come up here, but I do think I just like to share more accurate information because I feel like that's where we're getting hung up. Is do we have enough information? I think that I first want to just thank not only you as councilman, but for the community to come out and have an honest dialogue and discussion. I've lived in Wyoming my whole life. I love it here. I appreciate the opportunities that are here for my children. And I think that whenever you make big decisions, they're going to be hard. And it's important to do that with all the information. And it's important to take time to know everything that we're getting into. And so what I would like to offer, because I don't think in 4 minutes that I could ever address every question that was there, is that I have a few things that I would like to share with maybe the council members or who I should send it to. But then if you could disseminate some information like this for me. So this is, for example, it's the nuclear insurance and disaster relief. It goes through the Price-Anderson Act and just how much money is there for insurance, for bonds, so that you would never have, the community held up for the financial resources of what this is. We also have documents from NRC that shows the safety about what we're doing and how all of these casts that are currently been in use have never leaked. There's never been one situation in this type of nuclear that we are talking about that Radiant has. And we want that information to be readily available for everyone. Because I'm a mother too. I want to know it's safe. I want to know it's okay. I completely understand that, and I want to provide that information every opportunity that I have. We also have an FAQ sheet, which I believe you guys have already posted. If there's maybe a great way for us to have better dialogue. And I also want to apologize if we haven't ever seemed like we've been as open as we need to be, or to not have that. We were in hopes that these town halls would provide that. If there's additional areas or lanes for us to have dialogue, we want to do that, because Radiant will only be successful if the community is a real partner. We've been receiving a lot of messages from private individuals who are very excited about this, who want to learn more about it, who don't feel like they can be very public about it. So we also want to give them a lane to find all the information that they need as well. So I guess I just want to say thank you for the continued conversation. I appreciate being able to hear more concerns or questions so I can continue to get out that type of information. And we are always open to have those discussions. And then, of course, if there's something in particular you would like, I would like to provide that information as well. So thank you for the opportunity to provide that information, and anything we can do to help, that's what we want to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other petitions of public comment? Going once, going twice, sold to the highest bidder. Okay, thank you everyone for your comments. 4th of July fireworks discussion. Councilman Clark and myself were discussing having a 4th of July bonanza next year. We were also discussing it with Virginia, I think, didn't we? Didn't we talk about this? We did. Okay, good. All right, perfect. We really wanted to, next year is the 250th birthday of the United States of America, and we want to make it something special. Something special. There we go. My mom would slap me if she caught me talking like that. So we are looking into fireworks, and I always, in my head, I always imagine that these big fireworks show that the cities put on are super expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I couldn't have been more wrong. Total all fireworks. So they do a pretty good show up in Byron. Total all fireworks was about $8,000.
Do 4 of them.
And substantially cheaper than we thought.
Substantially cheaper. And so there are options available to us. And one of the hard ones I'm running, kind of a brick wall I'm running into right now, is that trying to find somebody to put the show on for us. So that is kind of a big hill to climb. I called the guys up in Byron. I can't remember the guy's name right off the top of my head, but he's actually unavailable. So we're gonna have to go a different route. He would actually have done it for free, and I was like, well, that's cool. I like free. And
Able to bump the date up to the 3rd instead of the 4th.
We did consider that, but I just
You do it the same time Casper's doing theirs.
Yeah.
So people at the event center look over and see.
So
that'd be cool.
Well, the neighborhood takes pretty good care of that. So.
Yeah.
so
All you got to do is go over to Mike's house.
So we're gonna keep. I'm gonna keep looking into it. The only other option, if we can't find somebody to do it, is either we just don't do it. Well, there's 3 options. We either do it and we get someone to put it on for us. We don't do it, or we either have someone on the fire department or even myself go get a federal explosives license, because then you can go buy the big fireworks. And
that's cool.
So yeah, right. So I mean, I can do it because I know I can pass a background check. I know I can pass the fingerprints because I do them all the time for driving. And I've actually gotten an FFL before, so I'm acquainted with it. Doesn't mean I want that extra responsibility because I already got a lot on my plate. But if it does come to that, I'm willing to do it just to make this happen.
Also, I'm still somebody who blows their hand off.
You want you to have both your thumbs.
That's why you use those long sticks and you light it from way back there. But anyway, so I just wanted to update everyone on that. We are looking at Virginia, we were talking about bumping the time back so that it's all, so the 4th of July parade and everything is all in the evening so that it's all one big event. We could even have a car show that day and everything. So just putting it on the radar. We'll probably start, I would say, in January-ish. Start really hardcore planning for this because we want to have it all set and ready to go by the time that July hits here. Yes.
A Technics company that's licensed in Wyoming that I reached out to. I'll let
Yes.
you know.
Okay, perfect. You have a name?
J&M.
J&M. I think that was the one I was looking at too. So let me know what you find out.
I'll get on T-Moon and start buying fireworks.
Yes. Well, you got to get it. Well, man, you probably could, but you'll get arrested by the ATF. Anyway, so that's the fireworks. We really want to make it a special year next year because it's 250 years. And we want to make it a big deal. And so yes, please go ahead again.
They didn't talk about special budget for the event.
Yes. We could do that. We've already got to amend the budget anyway. Because we,
Blank check.
yeah, this is America's birthday. This is America's 250th birthday. We're shooting for the moon, right? So, but yeah, so 10,000, that's fine. We can amend the budget and we're gonna hopefully put on a really awesome show. We're also looking at, for everyone that wants to shoot fireworks, Sonny and I were talking about this, is going out, it was at north of Tonka.
Yeah, we can
The Zoom.
actually, we can either shut down West Winds and do it off of West Winds Road. So that way it's out of the subdivision, because some people like aerial displays in the middle of a subdivision, which is bad juju. Anyway, this 4th of July was off the hook. This was my first year actually doing patrol in town, and holy crap.
It was, this year was something different.
Is all I can say. I mean, I made a lot of contacts that night and just talked to people. I would rather you burn down 200 acres of grass than 2 houses.
Right.
So that's my thing. So whatever we can do to have a spot where people can go, and I know we're always going to have those people that are going to want to do it at their house. I mean, we're just not going to get rid of that, and that's fine. But if we can give somebody a centralized location to actually go and bring what you bought and just
have at it.
Have at it.
Going to the show.
We don't want to do the.
I think what we should do. What we should do is we should time it with the town show and the townspeople. It will be amazing.
We're talking. Yeah. So just for future reference, I still have to make contact with private property owners around the town.
Right.
So the goal next year is probably about April. We're going to punch a 4-blade dozer line around the town. And then we're going to burn out from there about another 1/4 to a 1/2 acre.
Okay.
All the way around the town. That'll give us like some really good protection if we do have a wind driven fire coming at us from the Mills area. As in years past.
Right.
So that's going to be the ultimate goal for next year is really working on the containment of the town as far as keeping that going.
I was actually going to ask you about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Did we cut the fire line this year?
We did not.
Okay.
So I can reach out to, I don't know if it was County Roads and Bridges that brought the grader out last year.
I want to say yes.
So I can contact Mike Hayler and see if we can get a grader out to do it, just to fence it up a little bit.
Okay.
But like I said, the overall plan is to actually be able to probably try to get a federal dozer on borrow to the town for at least a year. So that way we can have it here locally to punch the dozer line, but also be able to utilize it for fire response in the county.
Telling you. I've been wanting a dozer for years now.
So you have no objection for putting one in on the federal grant side?
Sure. We can get one for
with the tractor and the low boy?
One caveat there.
Yes.
I get to drive.
You can do whatever you want with it. You prepare.
Yeah, I'm cool with that, man.
Make a dozer operator out of him yet.
What about, you had the idea of doing it at the baseball field, but not.
I don't like the baseball field idea mainly because you're going to have an obscene amount of fireworks being shot there. And then all the cleanup and so it's just,
I think the big thing is gonna be to work with Pat over the next few months and stuff to like really be able to talk to the private landowners that have large acreage outside of the town. Where we can actually like put the dozer line in, burn their thing out early so we have a nice area where people can actually go and spectate. If we decide to put on the fireworks show. I just need to talk with Pat to see what kind of liability that brings to the town as well as to the property owner.
right. Right on. All right. Well, I think that covers our discussion of the 4th of July. So let's just keep rolling with that. Keep in contact with Pat. Virginia, let's keep rolling forward. But I think unless you guys feel different, like January, I really want us to start, like this needs to be a discussion that we're having all the time. Cause I want this to go off without.
I think we just need to keep it on from now until moving forward. Like, I mean, we need to plan this. And if we're going to do it right and keep it safe, we need like a year of planning.
I agree.
Make sure it happens.
And you got a year.
Well, we've got a year, so let's make it happen.
Before you leave the 4th of July, the 250th. So I don't know if you're aware there's a grant process through.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
And it will not cover fireworks. It's in bold letters.
What covers bulldozers?
But I do have a copy of that in the car that I'll bring back in.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Moving on, we're gonna go to our INL report. Dan, do you want to lead out?
Sure.
Okay.
As of course, as we, it's been brought up in the public comment part, Mayor and I, and actually Commissioner Dave North were invited out to, as part of a group of approximately around 24 Wyoming officials to do a 2-day tour, sit through presentations and do a tour out there at the Idaho National Laboratories where Radiance mock-up will be run through its paces starting around July 4th of next year. So, you know, again, it's been quite a journey of learning since learning about this back in January to now, and trying to put my money where my mouth is to understand what I'm talking about. And because knowing there's going to be these discussions and arguments over this thing, because it is a passionate deal, and it's odd bedfellows as far as political mindsets that are in this. It's the oddest thing I've seen in 14 years in Wyoming politics, what this issue is. So as I continue to study what nuclear is and where it's at, what's been going on in this country with nuclear and somewhat around the world, 440 nuclear power plants around the world, 54 of them here in the United States. I was trying to get to I'd always started leaning into the project because I love growth and development, prosperity and opportunity. And that, my mind went to that, but not at the expense of hurting a town, for sure. So to be certain we're not going to hurt a town, we need to get educated and look at these things. And I've been bombarded with mountains of information, mountains of videos, and I've looked at all of them and, started garnering my view of what it is. And getting an opportunity in this invitation, I knew was going to be the icing on the cake of what I was learning. To me, that journey out to Idaho National Laboratories was going to confirm or deny things I've already learned. It was also going to put me into a federal agency that I have a hard time trusting a lot of federal agencies. And I went in there because just like with everything, I'm looking for agendas. And when I when we got there, that first morning, we start off in presentations and stuff, and that Idaho National Laboratories has 6,500 employees. It was strange to spend that first day there and realize I'm sitting in a federal facility. To me, it felt like a vibrant American corporation. And what I learned from the personalities that were working out there, the ones I interacted with, many of them grew up in Idaho Falls. It's farm country. These are conservative people. The side conversations, they're not Biden fans. So there's a camaraderie that you sense there, and a morale and a genuine passion and love for what they're doing. And it was refreshing to watch. They're federal employees. As I said, 14 years as an activist, government's been my target all this time. These people are really doing a job out there that of all the industries, because of the nature of its, what it deals with, radiation, nuclear fuel, it needs, and especially these new micro and small reactors, they need to be tested. And because we can't have the manufacturer go from their own drawing board to testing it themselves and then out to manufacturing. It'd be insane without having some oversight. And what they do out there for testing is insane, what they run stuff through. And it was amazing. We got to go out on a tour bus, go to the different facilities out there. I'd been out there before when I had a heavy haul company. I've hauled equipment out there before. And I thought, wow, I wish I could walk around out here and see what they do. And so weird dream come true. So we got to look into a small nuclear reactor down into the water. They definitely didn't want you putting your hand down in there and splash around or drop anything down in there, but it was fascinating. And because I haven't grown up around it, I felt uneasy in there. It's like, this is odd to me. Because all I know about is Chernobyl, Fukushima, movies I've seen. And thankfully what I'd learned going up to that point, going out there, I learned, it's safe. And these people are working out there. Obviously it's safe or they wouldn't be working out there. So, getting to learn what the test procedure is going to be for Radiant, it's a heavy hurdle for them. It's huge. They can't miss a step or the thing goes back to the drawing board. So they did say that they would be looking at inviting us back out, that group, during the testing so we can witness some of it. I didn't sense cover up out there. They took us to areas where they'd had issues with stuff, cask, that back to what I said, the molecular monitors had detected hydrogen molecules inside of a cask. And the scientists were like, nope, we can't have that. But that level of knowing something good, not good is happening, but they're fixing it before it can ever become a catastrophe. And so that gave me a lot of peace learning that. And so it's that experience out there really did solidify my final thoughts on it. And that I would be more comfortable, and I'm for that project now. I still, like, if the smoking gun lands in my lap and it's been found out that there's been a cover up of mass sickness around one of these facilities in the country, you can turn me around right now. But right now it's not there. I'm looking at reality. The reality I saw at Idaho National Laboratories, the people that work out there, they're not afraid of it. Their friends aren't dying or they wouldn't be working out there. And so that's where I've formed my opinion that I'm okay with the project. I'm okay with nuclear coming to Wyoming at a managed level. I don't think we want the whole enchilada, but we don't want no to all of it. Because with it does bring prosperity and opportunity. And those that aren't speaking up, that you go talk to quietly and they call you or send you a message, they love the idea of that possibility in our community, in our state. Our community is flatlined on growth, and due to the nature of the one family that owns the land, if this goes away, then the land's going to sit there stagnant for a bit. They don't need to develop the land. So we'll have to sit and wait and hope for another big project comes along. In the meantime, we'll have to manage a town in decline economically. And we're trying to hold its own until something comes along. So again, that back to Idaho National Laboratories, I really enjoyed the people out there. I don't feel like I was brainwashed. I feel pretty savvy that I can protect myself from that. I just absorbed the information I was given, met with the people, talked with them that worked out there. Didn't feel like I was being flim-flam. They showed us a lot of stuff. They showed us their mistakes. They showed us everything. That's what that place is about. That's where nuclear goes to crash, so that they can bring it out to us and use it. And if those people aren't dying from it, I know we're not going to die from it out here. So anyway, that's about my 2 cents.
Right on. So my experience was fairly similar. I started from maybe a little bit more of a neutral point. I know that people think that I was like pro Radiant right from the go, and that's probably my fault for making that perception. But realistically, what it was is that I'm trying to look at the totality of that. That's the role of the mayor, is to look at the totality of the circumstances, not just one aspect of it. You know, it's not just the radiation. It's not just the radiation storage. It's not just the you know, how the populace feels about it. It's not just the financial benefit to the town or the economic. It's all of it. And that's the hard part about being a mayor. Is that while everybody else gets to nitpick and focus on their one thing that is their baby, I have to look at everything. And I'm not pitching to say, hey, feel sorry for me. I'm letting you know where I come from. I have to look at the totality of the circumstances and have to make a decision based off of that. So when I went to Idaho Labs, I was more neutral than I would say that I was thinking that Radiant would be a good thing because I could see the economic benefits of it, but I wanted to make sure it was safe for my community. That was my key concern because I live here, right? So I think that as people in the community, they forget that everyone sitting here and Tyler all live in this community. We live next door to you, right? Our kids live here. Our kids go to school here. Our kids go to school in Casper. We are part of this community. And so for me, it's a big deal. Like, I'm going there for information, and that's my purpose in going to Idaho National Labs, is to gather information. It is the reason why I watch YouTube videos about nuclear. It is the reason why I study the NRC website, as boring as it is. That's the reason why I listen to all the residents talk to me about their concerns. I have to look at the whole picture. And so I went to Idaho National Labs, and I went with eyes wide open. And if I saw something that I didn't like, that was going to be the nail in the coffin. And Dan was right. They were honest about things. Like, they didn't withhold anything. And it was extremely professional people, like extremely knowledgeable, way above my pay grade. And so they ran us through the testing process, which is very interesting. And they're all engineers. I don't know if you guys know how engineers, no offense, Ray, you might want to plug your ears. I don't know if you guys know how engineers think. They're not, most of them, Ray are not people. They're not people.
No, people.
They are people.
They're robots.
But they're not great at getting their point across. And I would add that I think that's one of the struggles that Radiant has had. Now, yes, you can say they've lied or whatever. That's fine. We can have that argument later. Just hear me out. But I think that's one of the struggles that Radiant has had is that they are almost all engineers. And engineers are not great at public affairs. But anyway, so we go out there and they have the ATRC, which is called the Advanced Test Reactor. What does the C stand for? I don't even remember now. Whatever. Anyway, they have the ATRC, they have the ATR, which is the Advanced Test Reactor, and then they have the dome. And the first place we went was called the ATRC. And what they do is they take fuel pellets and they bombard them with neutrons, because that's what's going to happen in a nuclear reactor. And it's just basically a safe place to test the fuel for the first time. And it's pretty cool. And that's where we look down in there, right? So we're looking down inside of what is technically a nuclear reactor. Now, they didn't have any fuel in there at the time, but you could see all, the water was kind of a greenish hue, probably because they haven't changed it in a while. And you can see all of the workings of it. And it's just right there. It's pretty interesting stuff. And so then we went over to the ATR side, which is the Advanced Test Reactor side. And what they do is they take fuel pellets and they bombard them with neutrons at 10 to the 15th power, which if anyone in here is a mathematician, that's a lot. Like, that's an obscene amount of neutrons. And what they do is they actually bombard it so that they can break down the fuel and see what its limits are and see what it can and can't do. And so they're basically taking this fuel, putting it in the effect of what is a nuclear reactor and speeding up the decay process. Then they take it from there, and whoever has their test reactor, right? So like Radiant, they take that over to the dome, and the dome is the test facility. And they take it and they put it in the dome, and then they basically try to make it break. They do everything you could possibly imagine for an entire, it was over a month. So they take it for a whole month, and all they do is try to take these reactors and try to break them. They just run them through every single process they can. They run them up. They put them way past the performance limits of what they're designed for to see how safe they are and see what their limits actually are. And if they fail any one of these, it's back to square one. Now, you could say that they're lying, right? You could say, well, they're not going to do that. They're going to pass it off or whatever. Okay, that's fine. We can also have that discussion later. I never got the impression once that they were lying. Not once. They talked to us about the casks in depth. They talked to us about even the past stuff that's happened in the past. And I came out of there trying to go in eyes wide open. And that is the honest truth. Whatever anyone else says, that is the honest truth. Okay? Anyone else that says that is different is lying. This is coming straight from the horse. I went in neutral with eyes wide open, saying if I found something in here that I didn't like, whatever limited actions I can take, I'm taking them. And I came back out of there, and instead, I feel okay. I feel safe. Now, there's a discussion to be had there, right? Because there's a lot of people who don't feel safe, and that is valid. My job as the mayor is to obey the law and to represent the people. And there are people who are for this, there are people who are against it, and there are people in the middle who do not care. And I have to represent all of those people. And when I came back from INL, I firmly believe now that I agree with you that yes, there are safety concerns, and yes, we do need to address those. And yes, we need to make sure this is safe. But I also see the other side of it where the economic and financial benefit for the town is going to prosper this town for the next 10 to 20 years. So that's what my trip to INL was. And for me, it was an information gathering. And I did that for the town. I did it with my own money. I didn't have the town pay for my trip. I did it on my own dime. And I did it because I care. And I wanted to know. And so if you have questions, I would love to talk about it. I would love to put fears to bed if we can, or at least come to some sort of conclusion that doesn't involve yelling and screaming at each other, because I'm pretty freaking tired of it. I'm pretty tired of that. We need to have better dialogue. And if we can't, then we just need to not talk to each other. But ultimately, this isn't about Radiant for me. This isn't about nuclear. This is about the prosperity of this town that I care about. That's why I was willing to spend the money and time and go out there. It cost me a lot. And I was willing to do that for this town. So hold just a second. So whatever dialogue we want to have, let's have it. Let's talk. But let's trade ideas. Let's not get in our camps and fight each other and say, I am right, when we can come to some sort of a conclusion, I believe that benefits this town greatly. And that's my INL spiel and my rant. So yes, sir.
Have a breakdown in the revenue streams you're proposing, that you're expecting to come from this project?
I don't. No, I don't. I'm sure there is. Jesse Defoe's got her hand raised in the back.
That way we can consider.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. So just get with Jesse in the back and she can talk to you about it. Anyway, hate me, love me. That's my INL experience. So anyway, moving on.
Be the title of your book.
Thanks. I don't have time to write a book. Too busy. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. I would entertain a motion to adjourn our regular meeting, so we can enter executive session.
I'll move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.
Another day.
Aye.
Motion to re-enter regular session.
Move as stated.
Wait,
Well,
no.
we gotta close.
Oh, yeah, I would entertain a motion to close executive session and re-enter regular session.
Move as stated.
Second.
Second motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Motion and second. Did you get it?
That one.
That's fine.
No,
Sorry.
these two.
Me.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?